Ms. Gaytz, you claim that the day before your son's tragic death, he told you what you have always believed. He was not the biological father of the defendant's 3-year-old daughter, Alexis, and 16-month-old son, Nicholas. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to defend his honor. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Remold, you state the plaintiff's son, Nicholas Gaytz, is your children's father and say today's results will prove your case and clear your name. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Gaytz, why are you so positive your son is not the dad?
I am here to represent my son, Nicholas, because he can't be here. I remember him telling me point blank the day before he passed away that he was not the father of Nicholas.
But yet he told me differently right before he died. He had told me that he didn't care regardless, that he felt in his heart that he was the father of my child.
And so you say that is not true, Ms. Gaytz. You say...
Well, I don't know what he told her, but I know what I know and what I've been told, and that's what he told me. And I have to believe him. He's my son.
You and your son were very close.
Very close, yes, ma'am.
And so you feel like when he told you that information, he really wanted to clear the air and let you know what he really felt deep down.
I could tell he was being very honest. I could see the sadness in his face when he told me that.
Also, Mr. Gaytz and I were also fighting at the time. We had a rough relationship. So Mr. Gaytz was going to say what he had to his mom.
What would he say to you?
That he felt that this child was his. And even if the child was not his, Mr. Gaytz would still stepped up and he would have been a father.
Of course he would step up.
Father.
He was a great father. He raised her daughter. She was pregnant when they met. So of course he would step up.
And so you're saying, Ms. Remold, that he never doubted to you at all, or was there doubt?
Yes, there was some doubt. Mr. Gaytz, with Alexis, if we would argue, he would say, go find your daughter's father. With Nicholas, I had found out I was pregnant, and he told me he would not be able to live with knowing I was pregnant with another man's baby. And then right before Mr. Gaytz had passed away, Mr. Gaytz had told me that he felt in his heart that Nicholas was his child.
It's not what he told me. The complete opposite the day before he passed away.
Tell me exactly what he said. What happened to him?
He said, that baby is not mine. And that's all he said. And he was just very distressed.
And he meant Nicholas?
Yes.
What about Alexis?
When Alexis was born, Your Honor, she was very dark-complected. And he had every doubt possible that she was not his, due to the circumstances of them breaking up, getting back together, and involving other people in these matters, being with other people.
Ms. Remold, were you all committed, exclusive? What was the nature of this relationship?
When I first met Mr. Gaytz, he was in a relationship. I was engaged to get married to somebody else. The day we met, we just started off as friends, and that same night, Mr. Gaytz came back to my house, and he moved in immediately. But I didn't expect me and Nick to move as fast as we did, and it did.
And Ms. Gaytz, what was your first memory of Ms. Remold?
The first thing I thought of, what is my son doing with her? She's just crazy. She's outgoing and everything.
I'm just outspoken. I'm very blunt, and I get to the point.
She is, and she had a good job, and he really respected her. He fell in love with her, and he was very much in love with her and the kids.
He was?
Yes.
I kind of felt like a mom figure to him. I was older than Nicholas, but...
She's an older woman. Cougar.
So how soon after you and Mr. Gaytz started your relationship were you pregnant with Alexis?
It was Alexis that there was doubts. Mine and Mr. Gaytz's relationship was very rocky. Mr. Gaytz would love the attention from other women, and he thought he was slick and would always get caught cheating.
Cheating? You guys always cheated on each other.
And so, Your Honor...
Oh, really?
Yes.
So the cheating went both ways?
Yes, as soon as they would break up, bam.
Yes, it
He would be a chick magnet. She'd go find what other guy, you know, just to get back at each other.
So before Alexis was born, did you all have this phase of breaking up and cheating?
Yeah.
I know with Alexis, he was just not too sure that she was his, because she was dark-complected, darker eyes. He's blonde hair.
That's because my ex is
blue eyes.
Hispanic. So, of course.
Okay. So, had you slept with that ex during this breakup
Have
phase?
you?
I sure did.
Did you?
Your Honor.
Yes.
You did?
Yes, she did.
If you did sleep with the ex during the breakup, why is it that you don't agree with the fact that there could be doubt?
I mean, I don't blame you for having doubt. When we first found out I was pregnant with Alexis, again, me and Mr. Gaytz were cheating on each other. And I had told him I was pregnant, and at first he was like, is it mine? And I told him, I said, yes, it was. When Alexis was born, Nick kind of had a look on him. I was like, at the hospital, I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, him and his grandfather thought Alexis was dark. And I said, so what are you saying? You think that she's my ex? But you know, Nick probably could have some doubt.
Knowing other men
cheating.
were involved, though, why wouldn't he have a doubt?
So, Ms. Remold, you say based upon a timeline, you felt that Alexis was his child.
Yes, Your Honor.
How close to that timeline did you sleep with your ex?
It was around the same time. But Your Honor,
really?
but Your Honor, it was protected, but the protection did break.
Are you serious? I didn't even know this.
Ms. Remold, you do understand that if the condom breaks, you've basically exposed yourself.
I had also, Your Honor, I had ran into the other gentleman that could have possibly been Alexis's father. I showed the other gentleman the picture. He says, no.
Why would he say yes? That's 18 years of child support for him. Just saying.
That is the moment that alleviated all question in your mind?
No,
the other guy said no?
I've had doubt. You know, when Mrs. Gaytz has made comments like, I just don't see Nicholas, I would then look at my daughter.
Do you see her?
I do.
You do?
Without
I
a
don't.
doubt. She looks just like her father. She's got his
No, she
same
doesn't.
blondness.
But in one breath, you say you've had doubts before, even yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that then substantiates Mr. Gayt's doubt and the doubt he probably did, in fact, express to his mother before his passing.
Right.
But can you say for certain that you truly believe if you've had doubt?
In my heart, I'm 100% sure. Is there some doubt? Yes, and that's why I'm here today. I want this to be her grandchild, and I want us to be able to get closer. I've lost everything. He used to take care of the kids, and I worked. I've had to move since the passing. I lost everything.
So today's results truly mean everything to you because having that clarity will hopefully encourage Ms. Gaytz to help with the children.
I want her to feel that same bond with Alexis.
And I want
especially. I want him especially to carry his dad's last name.
And you'd like to get his name.
I want his name changed to his father's, and I need that.
What was the nature of the relationship at the time you got pregnant with Nicholas?
We had a lot of trust issues, a lot of problems up and down in our relationship. I did start just hanging out with another gentleman, and he was staying the night pretty much in my home a lot, to the point where I would even have Mr. Gaytz and the other man that I was having sexual intercourse with both staying in the same house together.
Really?
My son loved her so much that he would watch the kids knowing she'd be going out with this man. That's how much he loved her and loved those kids, and it killed him.
So you moved this guy into the house with you and Mr. Gaytz?
Yes, Your Honor.
And for what reason did you have?
I couldn't at that time. I wasn't going to make a decision, and I was hurt by everything Nick had put me through.
And they stayed?
And they both stayed.
Okay, and so which one were you intimate with during this time?
Both of them, Your Honor.
Both men?
Both men.
Not at the same time, right?
Same day, Your Honor.
Same day.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you have a child.
Yes.
And you named him after Nicholas. But he may not be his.
At the time, Your Honor, when I found out I was pregnant with Nicholas, I had 2 names picked out. I told myself when I would deliver Nicholas that I would know in my heart when I looked at him who the father would be.
And so when Nicholas was born, you looked at the baby and you said, this is Nicholas's.
That's Nicholas's. Nicholas has blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and he came out looking just like his father.
They both have hazel.
Come on.
Nicholas
Look just
Jr.
like his father.
Nicholas Jr. has hazel eyes, like his sister Lexi.
That's me. I have hazel-colored eyes.
But his traits are very strong, Your Honor. His dad was blonde hair, blue-eyed. Nick was blonde hair, blue-eyed. My mother, blonde hair and blue eyes.
And so, Ms. Gaytz, you submitted a graphic to the court that helps outline.
There you go, right there.
What you're basically trying to get at is that
they all blonde.
They all are blonde hair, blue, and you say these children possess very different physical attributes.
Well, yes, we have Alexis here. She's dark complected. She has hazel eyes, dark hair.
And I have hazel eyes and dark hair.
What if they are not Nicholas's biological children,
I would be
or
devastated.
even one?
I would be devastated.
I'd probably faint on this floor. I probably would.
You feel like this is your only chance at your children having a father, even though he's passed on, they would have a father that wanted them and loved them.
Yes, Your Honor.
I understand. Jerome, I think we're ready for the results. We have 2 sets of results. The first set is for Alexis. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased Nicholas Gaytz, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parent, Robin Gaytz. The results are as follows. In the case of Gaytz versus Remold, when it comes to 3-year-old Alexis Gaytz, it has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Ms. Robin Gaytz and Alexis Gaytz is 98.6%.
Wow, that makes me so happy. That's great.
It does.
Yes, ma'am.
That's wonderful. I have the second result, and this result is for baby Nicholas. And right before your son passed away, he expressed doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parent, Robin Gaytz. With that being said, the results determine if there is a viable relationship between the child, Nicholas Remold, and Robin Gaytz. The results are as follows. I have never received a report with a result like this.
Is that good or bad, Your Honor?
For clarification, I want to find out. I'd like to get Dr. Baird on from DNA Diagnostics. I want to talk to him. He is the Chief Science Officer of the laboratory. I've never seen a result read like this. Hello, Dr. Baird, are you there?
I'm here, Judge. Glad to help.
Thank you so much for jumping on the line and taking this call. We're here in the case of Gaytz versus Remold, and I have never received results like this. I'd like to read them to you. In the case of Gaytz versus Remold, when it comes to 16-month-old Nicholas Remold, it has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Ms. Robin Gaytz and Nicholas Remold is 64.6%. What does that mean exactly, sir?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, this is basically an inconclusive result. So as a result, we did some additional testing. We then compared Alexis and Nicholas to see whether they were full or half siblings. And the results of that siblingship test showed with a 99.99995% likelihood that Alexis and Nicholas do indeed share the same biological father.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Well,
woo-wee.
I was holding my breath when he was talking because you all don't know. I don't know the results either. But I've sat in this courtroom and watched you both talk so beautifully about Nicholas and his beautiful spirit. And I have to say, Ms. Gaytz, spending this time with you, I know where he gets it from. Ms. Harrison, you and your sisters have been haunted by rumors of family secrets for more than 30 years. You say the defendant claims your father had an affair with her mother and therefore is your biological sister.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Now, you've requested results of a siblingship DNA test to prove she's lying.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Rogers, you argue that you do not doubt for a single moment that Ms. Harrison's father is, in fact, your dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you contend you'll prove to Ms. Harrison that you are sisters beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Harrison, why are you convinced Ms. Rogers is not your sister?
Well, over the years, her mother has denied the rumors. Her mother denied even having an affair with our father. And her mother and my mother were best friends. And when I was 16 years old, my father died. And her mother was confronted by my mother's sisters. And even then, she denied even having a relationship with our father. And I just don't believe that she is my sibling.
They are in denial, Your Honor.
Your mom was always in denial of what whether she did it or not, we don't know.
That's a lie.
What's a lie?
What's a lie is my mother, yes, she denied the fact that to you guys, but she did that because she did not want to hurt y'all.
Okay, but guess what? I'm not worried about being hurt or whatever.
She hurted me.
We're okay, but you're taking your hurt, the hurt that your mother caused you, out on us.
How is I'm taking it out on you?
I mean, because you're saying all of this stuff, you know, and like I said, over the years,
how am I taking the hurt out
Your
on
Honor,
you?
we were raised
when all
we were raised.
This is what I want to understand. You all obviously have a long history.
We have a long history.
And so you grew up together.
We grew up together.
We grew up as cousins.
As far as I can remember, we were always in one another's lives. We grew up as cousins, even though we were not blood relatives.
But since your mothers were best friends, we were all close.
We spent holidays together. We, you know, did different things together. And because my mom and her mom were best friends, I guess my mom just couldn't believe that her best friend would do something like that to her.
But she did,
well, it says a lot about your mom. Well, it says a lot about your mom, because if your mom is making allegations that she's my mom's best friend, like a sister to her, why would she do that?
But you know what? I can't speak for my mom because my mother is not here.
But you are now because you're saying,
I'm speaking
and
for
you're trying to
all right,
say
ladies,
because you're saying these were rumors.
I'm here for myself.
Ladies, I want to understand your story, but I have to be able to hear them. And if you're talking at the same time, I cannot understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Ms. Rogers, what makes you believe that her father is your father? Because you seem very confident.
Because he told me so.
He told you?
He told me so.
Okay, that's just another rumor. Did you see anything on a birth certificate?
No,
he
was on my birth certificate.
Okay,
he told
that says
me
it all right.
What did he tell you?
He told me that I was his child. He called me, he said daddy to me when I was 8 years old when I broke my arm. And then when I had my surgery, he also brought me a pink hippopotamus to the hospital for me to get everybody to sign. And he also stated at that time
he always did a lot of nice things for you guys because he tried to play the father figure because there was none in your life.
In my
you had
life,
no father figure. None of you guys had a father figure in your life. He was just trying to be nice. That doesn't make him your father.
He told me at the age of 14, he picked me up from school just before he died and took me to Watts Cafeteria in our hometown. And I remember what I ate. I remember what he ate. And he told me that I was going to have to help my mother.
First of all, you were 14 when he died, because I just turned 16 and you hadn't even had a birthday yet.
And then he had turned around and told me, no matter what my mother or anybody says, that he is my father.
So now
That's what he told me. So if I'm lying behind a dead man.
Okay.
He told me he is my father, and I will face
the only thing that's what we're here to prove. I mean,
wait, Ms. Rogers, what I'm trying to understand is if this man told you, I'm your father, and he referred to himself as daddy to you, what did you call this man when you were around Miss Harrison and her family? Because
Uncle Fess.
So you called him your uncle.
I was told to call him. When my deceased sister, Yvette, was still living.
Yvette is not your sister. Let's get that straight.
Yes, she is.
She is not your sister.
I have proof right here.
She is not your sister.
I have proof right here, Your Honor, how me and her look so much alike.
Looks can
not just
you don't even look like her.
Let me see this evidence.
You don't even look like her.
Looks.
Looks can be deceiving.
So, ladies, I'd like to understand what this piece of evidence represents. Who is this a picture of?
This is a picture
of our sister. Our sister.
Yvette,
she's deceased. She was right up under. She's 4 years younger than I was.
And your evidence.
She accepted me before she died.
No, and she accepted you before
she
was
did.
still undecided.
Yes, she accepted me before she died.
And so ultimately,
we took a DNA test and she kept it private.
Why would you get the DNA test with just the one sister?
It was not my idea.
It wasn't your idea?
No, it was Yvette's idea.
And so, what were the results?
That we were siblings.
That you were siblings.
Yes.
Did you ever receive any paperwork that you were able to bring to court?
She got the paperwork.
Both parties received the paperwork.
Yeah. Yes. Anytime there's a DNA test ran, both parties get paperwork.
Your Honor, I had just lost my leg and I didn't have a permanent place to stay. So she had it delivered to her house and she contacted me.
So, Ms. Harrison, did you ever hear any of this? That this was happening?
Hearing about this test. And like I said, Yvette and I, all of us, we were real close. And if she would have done something like that, she would have let us know. She would have.
All right. So you said you believe your father was just trying to be nice to her.
Yes, Your Honor.
And because she didn't have a father figure or father in the home, you think maybe his way of just trying to be there for her was to say, don't worry about anything, I'm your daddy.
He is her godfather, and you know, maybe she took
That's the reason they were my godfather and godmother. It's because they was hiding the secret.
Well, my mom, she was your godmother. She had agreed to be your
hide a secret because she had no idea.
She had no idea.
So how
what you mean she had no idea?
She didn't.
She didn't have no idea.
It was unbelievable to her that her best friend and her husband would go
told
behind her back and do something like that.
Yeah, she didn't believe.
My mama helped out. My mom used to give him money.
Y'all were in a worse position than what we were.
Okay, ladies, I trust me, I know how important this is to all of you.
It hurts me because I had to live with this secret and live with it and not be able to talk to them.
Why wait this long?
Treated ugly by her.
Who wouldn't have I ever treated you ugly?
You did.
Never.
When I stayed on Elder Street, we lived by each
Rogers,
other.
I've never treated you
when
ugly.
We lived by each other.
And you say, Ms. Rogers,
Street.
this secret was a lot for you to bear as a young girl.
I bared
as a young girl, but you're an adult.
I had to
you was an adult. You know why?
And why at 8 years old somebody would trust an 8-year-old child with that kind of secret?
For a grown man to say, I'm going to give an 8-year-old this type of information, and I'm going to trust that she not say anything at all, that is hard to believe.
When he was at our house, I was daddy's girl.
Now, that's not true.
When
I am my daddy's
house,
baby.
Michelle was the baby.
I am the baby, and I was the baby. As far as I remember, we were around each other. We done things, but it wasn't like he was always up.
Please stand up and...
I'm Gloria Wilridge.
And please step to the podium.
I am Ellis James Wilridge, youngest daughter.
Okay.
And I can also remember when I was younger, my dad took me to the store and they had some bubble gum in a tube, and I asked him for it and he said yes, and he was like, get 2 more tubes for your sisters. Well, I'm thinking we're gonna go home and he's gonna give it to my sisters, but instead we went to Tammy's house and her siblings and he gave it to her. So like I said, we were young, we were kids, so we didn't put 2 and 2 together until we was adults, and it started becoming questionable and things.
So, Ms. Rogers, let me ask you, have you ever, or did you ever, just ask your mother, is that my father?
Yes.
And what did she say?
She told me no, and she got very upset with me at the age of 36. Me and my mother had a long talk, the last long talk we had. And she still denied it. But the way she acted, you know, the crying in her emotions, when I told her what he told me, that made it even more believable inside of me that he was telling the truth.
So she basically took this denial, this answer of no, he's not your father, to her grave.
She was ashamed. You know, who wouldn't be?
But she couldn't
as
get too
good as
ashamed
her
because
mother was to
over
us.
the years, she still hung
You know,
out at our
as
house
good
with
as
our
her
mother, pretending to be,
us.
as if nothing
You know what
pretending
I'm
to be her
saying?
friend. She
Her
wasn't
mother
too
was-
ashamed. She
They
wasn't too
didn't
ashamed.
talk to each
All
other
right,
anymore.
so I'd like to hear from the next witness, from Ms. Harrison. Please stand, ma'am.
Yes.
And state your name.
Danette McMahon.
You are Ms. Harrison and Ms. Wildred's sister.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
please step over to the podium with them. So did you grow up knowing Ms. Rogers to be your cousin as well?
Yes.
But did you also hear the rumors?
Yes, I've heard the rumors. Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Rogers, you have to understand that it's very hard for them to have to think about or even process the fact that their father may have had an affair, much less had one with their mother's best friend, which they considered to be their aunt.
We seen them through the peephole in our bedroom.
Who did?
But that still doesn't make him,
You know,
that still doesn't make him your father.
Hold on. I need to hear this story. Ms. Rogers, who's we and who did you
my
see
little
through a
sister,
peephole?
Me and my sister, Glenda.
Okay, that.
Saw
My mom, and at the time, that's what we called them Uncle Fats, in the bed together.
Okay. And
Not
I don't
one
deny
time,
We don't
but
deny
every
that.
time,
We
'cause he used
know.
to
We
spend
knew.
But
nights
guess
with
what?
us.
That
We
doesn't
know
make
stepping
him
out.
her father just
Stepping
because
out,
they
but-
were sleeping together.
Well,
Oh, so
what
you
makes
all
him
don't-
my father?
Yes.
What makes him
Yes.
my father is because he said he was my father.
But he just said it. There's no solid proof. But yeah, he didn't have
But wait a minute, when she said her
No,
story
he
and
didn't
she
have to be.
said,
He
wait a
was
minute,
the
Ms. Rogers,
father.
when you said, we saw your father and my mother through the peephole in the bed together, all three of you reacted like, yeah, okay.
Because we're saying,
You know,
But what I'm saying,
as we got older, we started saying, yeah, it's a possibility. Because anytime
right, so
a
if
man
there's
and
a
woman is spending that
possibility
much
that
time
it's
together,
true
that it's
that they
true.
were in the bed together, isn't it also true that there's a possibility that he's her
But
father?
them in the bed together doesn't necessarily make him the father.
Yes,
And
no,
what
no,
we're
my
saying
father
is,
It is
in the
not.
we don't know.
It's
You
gonna
know,
prove
because
it today.
she's telling us what he said.
All right, so as you stand before me, all four of you believe Mr. Wilridge is your biological father.
Yes.
We know for sure.
For sure.
We know
We
for sure that he's our
dad.
Yeah.
We know for sure.
What she's
there's no
saying is
question.
hearsay.
We know
It's
our
so
dad and our
say.
mom
So
is.
I look just like my
all four
father.
of you.
Laugh after the DNA is read.
That's what
Your
I'm waiting
Honor,
on.
Your Honor,
he
I
is
look
my
just
father.
like my father.
Why would he lie
Out of
to
all
me?
four girls, I look just like my father.
Yes, you do.
And if you were a sibling, you would look like me, but you don't. I mean, I know
don't have
genes.
to
I know
look
genes
like
can go
you.
either way, but I feel like you can
don't
tell we're
have to look
sisters, but we
like
have
you.
our
Okay,
own-
ladies, I think it's time for the results. Let's get it.
I'm ready.
Let's get the truth. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. To be clear, because we're trying to determine whether or not Mr. Wilridge was all of your father, the test that we administered is for half-siblingship. You understand?
Yes.
So, if it is determined he is your father, that would make you half-sisters. In the case of Harrison, McMahon, Wilridge versus Rogers, pertaining to whether Ms. Rogers is the biological half-sister of Ms. Harrison, Ms. McMahon, and Ms. Wilridge, it has been determined that you are indeed half-sisters.
I mean, that's fine. I just wanted to know the answers. You know, that's all I wanted. Now I know, and there's no more doubts in my mind. You know, and I don't feel hurt or pain. The only person I feel hurt and pain for is my mom. The only person I was concerned for was my mom.
No woman deserves that. And I know you hurt for your mother. No woman wants to be cheated on, especially by her husband and her best friend. And yet, put yourself in the shoes of this innocent young woman.
We were innocent too.
And yes, you were. However, you grew up with your mother and your father. So all I'm saying is love and compassion.
We want that.
Yes, love and compassion is the answer here. Good luck to you all. Court is adjourned.
Mr. Green, you claim that the defendant repeatedly cheated on you during your marriage with both men and women.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state you have every reason to doubt that you are one-year-old Keegan's biological father because of Mrs. Green's sexual track record.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you've petitioned the court for a paternity test.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Green, you say Mr. Green wasn't ready to be married and that he was the promiscuous one.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that you stepped outside of your marriage only when he left to be with other women.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, well, Mr. Green, why do you have doubts that baby Keegan is your biological child?
I mean, she used to leave me in the house, like, for numerous amounts of time. Like, she'd tell me she'd go into the store for, like, an hour. She'd be gone for like 2 or 3 hours, then get back. I asked her where she'd been. Like, she just been to her girlfriend's house. To her girlfriend's house can mean really her boyfriend's house or both. Like, who knows? You know what I mean?
What if the store was just crowded?
I don't think Burger King at 10 o'clock at night is crowded until like 1 in the morning. So this is what made me like not want to be with her. You know what I mean? Like, and then when I did leave, the first time I did leave, I was going to see my other child.
But when he left to see his other child, I did not even know he was gone. Someone called me at work and told me that they dropped him off at the bus station. If I'm supposed to be your wife, why you didn't tell me you were leaving, whether it was to see your child or whatever? You could have said you were leaving.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
You don't know if it's accurate or not? Don't play.
I really can't.
Don't play.
I can't really can't recall.
Can't recall.
He can't recall. Of course not.
Okay. So give me some other reasons why you have doubt, Mr. Green.
Okay, and then there was another time where, like, I flew back from Atlanta. Like, we said we was gonna get it together. You know what I'm saying? I flew back from Atlanta, came in the house, we're chilling.
With another woman in Atlanta. Tell the whole story.
We was broken up. You already had another child by somebody else.
Okay.
So what you mean?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And he would have also had another child during that point. If
allegedly.
Still another child.
Allegedly. That wasn't mine.
There is still another child that is possibly his.
What kind of marriage is this?
A circus.
A circus.
Let me get this together. You're married. So
Basically.
You always suspected stuff was going on?
Yeah, she already told me.
Even when you were together?
I found the condom wrapper on the floor. Like, one time I came home or whatever from being, like, out or whatever, out of town or whatever I came, it was a condom wrapper on the floor.
How long were you out of town for? Where were you at when you were out of town?
I was in Atlanta.
Right, in Atlanta, right.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta.
With who?
With my son's moms. But we wasn't together.
So what are you talking about then?
But still, I found the condom wrapper on the floor. You smutty.
Okay, let's get this straight. Were you in Atlanta with your son's mother, or were you in Atlanta visiting your son? There's a difference.
I had it out there, and I was,
going in Atlanta living with his son's mother. While they were in Atlanta, she became pregnant again. What Key's over here talking about condom wrappers and all that
That's
other
not true.
stuff,
She got pregnant
that was while he was gone. At least somebody has sense enough to be using condoms.
Okay, so let's get focused here. Let's get focused. I want to get to the child in question.
Okay.
You have doubts whether this child is yours.
Yes.
Because of Mrs. Green's actions. So you've got doubt.
Yes.
When do you learn she's pregnant?
2 weeks after I came back from Atlanta.
So, Mrs. Green, let me ask you. He's away in Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys are on another break.
If that's what you call it, I don't know.
Okay, I don't know what to call it either.
Yeah.
I thought it was a marriage, but it doesn't sound like one.
No.
So he comes back. You admit that you had been sleeping with other men and women and having your own fun while he's gone.
Yes,
because you all are apart. He comes back and then you're pregnant. You tell him you're pregnant.
He was back for like a month before I found out I was pregnant. I had not been with anyone during the time that this child was conceived besides
Oh, really?
him.
Somebody wasn't calling your phone?
So...
Old boy wasn't keep calling your phone?
Do you get pregnant through the phone? Anyway, like I said, I hadn't been with anyone during the time that this child was conceived besides him.
You are certain
that
during that time, even though you'd had sex with other men and women during this time when this child was conceived, you were only sleeping with your husband?
Yes, ma'am. And I don't know what women have to do with anything because none of them definitely got me pregnant. So that don't even have nothing to do with what's going on, really. But
no, it don't, but I'm going to explain
Mr.
why.
Green, you say there are rumors you heard that she was with other people.
Yes, there's rumors that I heard she was with other people. My cousin, them telling me that she be on the barbershops all the time, messing with this one, messing with that one. You know what I'm saying? She
now, all of this was happening during the time the baby was conceived?
Yeah, this is all around the same time, yes. This is all around the same time. We was partying, we was partying, having a good time.
Together.
Or whatever, together. Yeah, we was partying, having a good time together. But at the end of the day, I was about you, and that was that. You was about everything else. I didn't want none of that. You know what I'm saying? That was something that you wanted. That's something you brought the milkshake to the yard. I did not.
Okay.
You did.
All right, cool. He's saying if you don't want something, you're supposed to be a grown man. You say, no, we're not going to do this, or I'm just going to leave, correct? You don't participate.
So, Mr. Green, are you accusing Mrs. Green for getting you involved in activities that you wouldn't otherwise be involved in?
I never was involved with no, you know what I'm saying, swinging stuff. No, to a grown man to a sinner. I ain't say I ain't a sinner, nothing like that.
Okay.
But that was my first, like, sexual experience with 2 females and all that. She asked for all of that. That was her people's. That was her homegirl. Who does that? You know, what woman brings another woman into the situation, into the equation?
So
that's
now
what she wanted to do.
You two,
and
as a married couple,
I didn't even like the female. Like, I didn't even like the side.
Oh, he didn't like that female.
Yeah.
But he liked
Let's get some order. Hold on 1 second. Because I'm trying to understand this mess. You come back home, and within 2 weeks to a month, your wife is pregnant.
Yes.
But during this time, you've heard rumors that she's sleeping around with other people.
It was a female. She actually brought a female into the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, she brought
she's not going to get pregnant by a woman. I hate to break that to you. So we need to understand, what men have you heard?
No. I'm going to get back to the female part, if I can elaborate.
No. You're going to get back to the part I need to understand, because a female cannot impregnate anybody, and this is paternity court, so we need somebody to be a father.
I am a father. I'm the one that got him now. I got him now. I've been having him for the last...
What man are you accusing her of sleeping with during the time this child was conceived? What man are you accusing her of sleeping with during the time this child was conceived?
She told me she was sleeping with somebody else. She told me that. She told me she could be pregnant with him.
Okay.
She told me she could be pregnant by him. That's the whole situation.
All right, that's why you have your doubt.
Yes, she told me.
So, Mrs. Green, did you tell your husband that while you were gone, I was sleeping with another man, and that man could potentially be the father of this child?
Yes, I did admit to having relations with someone else during the time that he was gone, but I never said it was a possibility that he was my child's father. No, ma'am. He has double standards. Everything's cool as long as it's going his way.
Why are you lying? You told me that. You told me that you was pregnant. You told me that you might be pregnant. Like, before you told me you might be pregnant by somebody else. You told me that.
Really?
Before I even flew back there. Yes, you did.
Okay.
You told me that.
Okay. You just now saying that she told you that she may be pregnant before you ever flew back from Atlanta?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you said before that she told you 2 weeks after.
Thank you.
You got back.
That's when she told me she was pregnant. I mean, she told me this will happen. She told me, like, I might be pregnant or whatever the case is. Came back home.
Before you came?
Yeah, came back home. She supposedly had her period. Then like a week later, she's saying that she's pregnant.
Supposedly have a period.
Supposedly could have been faking. I don't know.
Oh man.
Okay, it's your testimony that she said she may be pregnant before, and then by the time you got back home a couple weeks later, she announces, I am in fact pregnant.
Yes, and it just was suspicious to me. I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like we chilling, we hanging. You know what I'm saying? Then like you pop up a week, 2 later, I'm in town that you pregnant all of a sudden, and you was just telling me prior to that you know what I'm saying, that you might be pregnant. So I'm like, yeah, I'm giving me doubts. And plus, I know how you get down. I know what people saying about you in the street, so I just want to know for sure.
Okay.
Like, I take care of him and all of that still.
Mr. Concepcion, please stand at the podium. Hello. So now, what do you have to say about this mess and Mrs. Green? What do you have to add?
Listen, basically, she turned up. They both turned up, but she extra turned up.
I believe I want you to explain to me in respectful language, if possible.
Okay.
What turned up means. Enlighten me.
No holds barred. Everything is a go, basically.
Sexually.
Everything is a go, yes.
Understood. Multiple partners.
Vegas in the bedroom.
Okay, okay. So what are you saying about Mrs. Green? What do you know?
I mean, once he told me that she was pregnant and he was bouncing back and forth, you know, I got friends all over the place. I got cousins in Charlotte. They bouncing back and forth. My cousin got a house in Jacksonville. So I gave him a call, and I'm just like, you know, just asking Joe GP to see, you know, if she ringing like that, like he claimed, you know what I mean? I want to see what's going on. So I call my man. I'm like, yo, listen. I'm like, you know, Whit? Before I can even finish saying Whitney, he like, who? I'm like, Whit. He like, who? I'm like, Whit. He like, no. I'm like, oh.
And that reaction means turned up.
Yeah, she turned up. Yeah, she turned up. Basically.
You know, turn up.
Basically.
I'm getting it. Yeah. Mr. Concepcion, thank you for that very colorful testimony.
Yes, colorful.
You may be seated. Now, Mrs. Green, you find out you're pregnant. You know in your heart that you're pregnant with your husband's child.
Yes, ma'am.
But can you see, because of the distance and because of the fact that you openly admit that you were having other sexual partners, both men and women, while you were apart, do you understand why he could have some doubt?
Yes, but I don't think there's a reason for you to say because you were only home for 2 weeks. Does it take 2 weeks to get pregnant? Like, anybody with common sense knows that it only takes having sex one time to get pregnant.
Yeah,
the amount of time doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So your issue is not, you can say, look, you're allowed to have the doubt if you want to have the doubt.
I don't care. He can doubt whatever he wants to doubt as long as he take care of my son.
So, Mr. Green, in a nutshell, you believe Mrs. Green is promiscuous? You've heard stories about her. You have doubt as to whether or not this child is yours, based upon that.
Yes, ma'am.
Besides the fact that your wife admitted that she was sleeping with other people, she's saying she's certain during the time this child was conceived that she was only sleeping with you. Are there any other reasons that you have reason to doubt this child is yours? Do you feel like the child looks like you?
No, I don't think.
Look at the baby's nose. Their mouth is open the same with the same dun-dun-dun look on their face. Like, come on now. But my baby don't look like you.
He looks like a typical black male. Like, come on.
Oh, you do too. Imagine that.
Yes, and you've been sleeping with typical black men. And you've been sleeping with typical black men.
I wish I could say that child belonged to somebody else because he's an idiot.
You don't see any resemblance here?
No, I really don't. I really don't. For sure.
Okay, husband and wife, let's hear from the defendant's witness. Please step up to the podium, Ms. Gant. Thank you for joining us. What would you like to say about this situation?
Well, me and Whitney have been friends for a very long time, when, not too long after they got married, probably about 2, 3, maybe 4 days after they got married, she called me crying, and she was like, my husband left. This is 4 days after you get married. Now, for your witness to say, when you get married so you don't have to chase people, you've been chasing and running from the beginning. And I've always remained, I personally You know, because I've been a part of all this. I have to hear the cries. I hear the tears. I've heard both sides of the story, and I try to stay in the middle of everything, but honestly, it comes down to, like I've told him, like I've told her, it's not about you, it's not about her. If y'all want to be together, be together. If you don't want to be together, don't be together. At the end of the day, there are children involved in this that have genuine emotions for the both of y'all. Her children love him just like anybody else. His children love her just like anybody else. You know, like it's not about them. It's about the children. And all this back and forth, words after words after words, calling her outside her name and all this is in front of the children.
I'm looking at you right now, and you seem very emotional.
I am, because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I've been through so much with him that isn't relevant to this case. That isn't even relevant.
Speak, Mr. Green.
That isn't even relevant to what's going on right now. When I married this man, he had a child on the way. But I loved him and I wanted to be with him. I had to deal with him. I had to deal with him going back and forth. And he already had a child too. Like I said, I loved him, so I married him regardless. But I never feel like I was truly ever respected as his wife from day one. It was always his kids over me, or what his family thought over me, or what his friends thought over me, whatever. He never got a chance to try to get to know me because he didn't stay around long enough to do so. I just want all this to be over with so I can carry on and have a normal life. That's all I want.
Okay, now it's time for the DNA results. Jerome, do you have the envelope?
There you go.
The DNA results were prepared today by DNA Diagnostics. In the case of Green versus Green, as it relates to 1-year-old Keegan Green, Mr. Green, Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. In the case of Green versus Green, as it relates to 1-year-old Keegan Green, Mr. Green, you are the father.
Now turn up to that. Turn up now.
That's all I talk about. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know. That's all I want. I don't know why you all mad. Like, come on. You shouldn't be surprised.
I'm not surprised. Are you?
You shouldn't be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised that I say something.
I don't even care. I don't even care. It's okay. I just need my paperwork.
Let's get some order. I see a lot of nonsense in this courtroom, things that I feel like I really can't believe my eyes. But you all have taken the cake today. I don't know what you all thought marriage was when you got into it, but you obviously had no clue. You all are over here supposed to be married to one another, sleeping with this person, sleeping with that person, and bringing children into this world within this mess. That's not acceptable. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna keep it really real, it's shameful.
Right.
You got a lot of nerve to sit up here and actually be producing children when you can't even get your own lives together. Now, it is the order of this court that you all decide whether or not you're gonna be married or you're not.
We ain't.
We're not.
We ain't.
And that's fine. Well, then dissolve the marriage and learn how to parent together respectfully for the sake of the children. And stop being so messy. Court is adjourned.